Hollywood has a type. Broad shoulders, square jaw, girlfriend on his arm, and absolutely, definitely, totally straight. For decades, the industry built billion-dollar franchises on actors who had to hide fundamental truths about themselves. They were cast as the boyfriend every woman wanted, the action hero every man wanted to be. They kissed women on camera while their real relationships stayed locked in closets.
Some were told their voices were too gay. Others watched Superman roles disappear when the truth surfaced. A few were coached on how to stand, walk, and laugh less obviously. The performance didn't end when cameras stopped rolling. It followed them to premieres, interviews, and even grocery stores. These 15 actors became masters of playing straight, and the cost was higher than any paycheck could cover.
Subscribe to discover how these men survived an industry that demanded they erase themselves, and learn what happened when they finally chose truth over fantasy.
The Superman they were too afraid to let exist. There exists a universe where Matt Bomer is the face on every lunchbox, the Man of Steel for an entire generation. In this one, that future got killed in a boardroom conversation that had nothing to do with talent and everything to do with who he loved.
He said it himself. He was the director's choice for Superman, 3-picture deal on the table, until his sexuality got weaponized against him. Hollywood didn't say you're too gay, it said you're not quite right for the brand. They didn't want a gay man as the symbol of perfect American heterosexual masculinity, but they were happy to use him as the fantasy on cable.
Neil Caffrey in White Collar. Silk ties, slow smiles, a con man every woman thinks she can fix. Magic Mike, the perfect pretty boy in a room full of screaming women. The deal was clear. You get to be the hottest straight man on TV, as long as you shut up about the husband and kids at home. And he did, for a while. Tabloids circled. Blogs turned his personal life into clickbait.
He's talked about how the choice to come out was basically stolen from him. And with it, maybe Superman, maybe other roles you'll never hear about, and definitely the illusion that hard work alone determines success in Hollywood. When he finally thanked his husband and children on stage in 2012, that wasn't just a sweet moment. It was quiet rebellion. He didn't stop playing straight afterward. The Last Tycoon, The Sinner, more prestige dramas where he still kissed women and sold chemistry. But now, audiences watched knowing the truth. And nothing broke. The lie did.
The Viscount who was told to stay invisible. Jonathan Bailey's entire job in Bridgerton is making straight people believe in romance again. The growl in his voice, the jaw clench, the way he looks at Kate like she's both a problem and a prayer. That's textbook perfect straight leading man. Netflix built an entire season on the fantasy of Anthony Bridgerton, the grumpy Viscount who just needs the right woman to melt him.
Rewind to his 20s. He's in audition rooms hearing about the rules of the game. There are 2 things we don't want to know: if you're an alcoholic or if you're gay. Same level of risk, same level of keep that away from the brand. Those words weren't even said directly to him at first. They were advice passed to a friend. But in this industry, one sentence from one powerful person echoes through a whole generation.
So he learned to play straight long before Shondaland called. Not just on camera, in waiting rooms, at rap parties, walking down the street when a fan might be filming. You pitch your voice lower. You police your wrists. You delete photos before posting because you're standing too close to the guy you actually like. Then Bridgerton blows up. Suddenly, every aunt, every straight dude, every girl with a Netflix account is obsessed with this man's chemistry with women. And here's the plot twist Hollywood didn't plan. When he finally says, "I'd much rather hold my boyfriend's hand in public than hide for a part," his career doesn't die, it gets bigger.
He's still playing the perfect straight man, but now audiences know he doesn't have to live that way. The performance stays, the shame doesn't.
The action hero they tried to edit in real life. On screen, Luke Evans is everything a straight blockbuster wants. He's the warrior in The Hobbit, the ruthless driver in Fast and Furious,
the swaggering Gaston in Beauty and the Beast. Muscles, jawline, girl on his arm. Zero doubt about his heterosexual credentials.
If you only knew him from posters, you'd swear this guy was grown in a lab to sell alpha male to 12-year-old boys and their dads. But rewind to 2002. He's a stage actor in London doing a Boy George musical, giving an interview to The Advocate like it's no big deal. Everybody knew me as a gay man. He wasn't hiding anything.
For a second, it looked like he'd cracked the code, an openly gay man going straight into leading roles without playing the closet game. Then Hollywood calls, and suddenly the record starts to blur. Old interviews become harder to find, new profiles stop mentioning the word gay. Articles link him to random women, frame him as a mysterious bachelor, just another handsome straight dude rumored to be dating so-and-so. On paper, nothing's changed.
In subtext, everything has. Years later, he's back to saying it plainly. He's gay. Always has been. And if he were only allowed to play gay characters, he jokes, he'd have almost no career because the roles simply aren't there. He talks about growing up in a strict religious environment, terrified of losing his family if he lived openly, then navigating a film industry that still wants the closet, just with better lighting and nicer PR strategy. The teen wolf who had to erase himself. Colton Haynes is every straight teen fantasy at once. Lacrosse god, rich boy, popular girl's boyfriend, body carved like a superhero on Teen Wolf. Later on Arrow, he graduates to brooding vigilante with a tragic girlfriend. On posters, he's the definition of perfect straight man. Off camera, the industry was sewing that straight costume into his skin. In his memoir, Colton talks about a manager who literally dropped him as a client because his voice and mannerisms were too gay, then suggested he try sex work if he needed money. That's not a bad joke. That's something a professional adult said to a 20-something kid whose only crime was moving his hands too much. When he first got to Hollywood, people started coaching the gay out of him. Stand like this. Talk lower. Don't laugh like that. Stop posing with male friends too close in photos. Even the job that made him famous almost didn't happen because someone found an old gay magazine shoot and panicked it would ruin the jock illusion. The pressure wasn't just professional. Colton was already dealing with grief, addiction, panic attacks. By the time he officially came out in 2016, he described his life as a loop of hospital visits and breakdowns. Being the straight fantasy for millions of teenagers while hiding from yourself will do that. The reward for finally telling the truth? According to him, the work mostly dried up. When closeted, he could beat straight guys for straight roles. After coming out, auditions were suddenly only for the few gay characters available. The same people who told him to butch it up now decided he was too gay to play what he'd spent a decade perfecting.
The jock who carried everyone's sins. Justin Foley in 13 Reasons Why starts as the monster under the bleachers. Hot jock, cruel boyfriend, the guy who lets something unforgivable happen to the girl who loves him. As seasons progress, he transforms. An addict, a homeless kid, a broken boy trying to deserve love.
The whole show leans on you believing he's straight, that his messy, intense romance with Jessica is the core of his redemption. While Netflix sold Justin as the straight bad boy you love to hate, Brandon Flynn was watching a plane write "Vote No" in the sky above Sydney, a message against same-sex marriage in Australia, and quietly deciding he wasn't going to play straight off-screen anymore.
He posted a long, furious Instagram calling out people who'd rather fund homophobia than face their own hate. And in the middle of that anger, he did something else. He used "we." We have been kicked out of homes. We have been beaten. We are scared. That was him coming out, not with a press release, but with a fight. Imagine the split. By day, he's on set playing the straight boyfriend whose choices ruin a girl's life.
By night, he's in headlines for kissing Sam Smith in New York, his love life suddenly public property. Hollywood gets to have both, the tortured straight heartthrob on screen and the clickbait surprise he's gay in tabloids. What did he lose for telling the truth? We'll probably never see the list. Roles that never called back, meetings that suddenly weren't a fit.
Characters like Justin that executives now quietly hand to someone else because our audience might not buy it.
The teen dream they sold to straight girls. Froy Gutierrez was built in a lab for Tumblr and TikTok. Soft eyes, floppy hair, that half smile that makes every scene in Teen Wolf and Cruel Summer feel like a crush. On paper, he's exactly what teen TV needs, the boy you put on your lock screen and argue about in group chats.
Nolan in Teen Wolf, Jamie in Cruel Summer, the shy kid, the popular boyfriend, the guy girls fight over at the carnival. For years, that's all the machine asked of him. Be handsome, be mysterious, and above all, be available. Not in real life, of course, in fantasy. Shows like Cruel Summer don't just sell plot, they sell a boyfriend experience to young women. If the actor is loudly gay, marketing teams panic.
Will the fan sign still say "Marry Me"? Will the network still push love triangles built on "every girl wants him"? So Froy did something many young queer actors do. He disappeared into neutrality. No big statements, no labels. Let the internet speculate. Let fan edits paint him as the dream straight boyfriend, even while he's reading queer YA out loud for audiobooks and hanging around circles that don't exactly scream no homo.
Then 2023 happens. Pride Party in New York. Cameras catch him kissing Zane Phillips. A few weeks later, the hard launch on Instagram. Shirtless beach photos. No more pretending they're just friends. Media quietly updates the file. Froy Gutierrez, gay, in relationship with another insanely attractive actor. No public apology, no tragic coming out essay. Just, this is my boyfriend, deal with it.
The himbo who refused to stay quiet. On screen, Zane Phillips looks like the final boss of straight male privilege. In Legacies, he's a literal demigod. In Partner Track, he's Hunter Reed. Tall, rich, careless. The kind of straight white Chad who's never heard the word no in his life. Casting director saw the jawline, the shoulders, the smirk, and plugged him straight into the himbo template.
But here's the trick. The dumb jock was the smartest camouflage the industry could offer him. You can be gay as long as you look exactly like the guy who bullied you in high school. Zane has talked about how actors are told that being straight passing is basically a cheat code for getting work. Your body becomes a shield, your bisexual/gay identity something you tuck behind your pecs until the contract clears.
Then came Fire Island, where he finally got to play what he actually is, the hot guy on the gay beach. Dex looks like every straight fantasy and is revealed as a toxic gay man, a weapon forged out of other people's projections. Zane took the archetype he'd been forced into and tore it apart from the inside. In 2023, he stopped pretending off-screen too. Pride Party in New York, kiss on camera with Froy Gutierrez. Then, a full Instagram hard launch of their relationship. No statements, no apologies, just two men in love, refusing to make it a scandal. The message was clear. I've played your straight fantasy long enough. Now watch me live my actual life and decide if it changes how you see the work or just reveals your own limitations.
The franchise hero who came out in the streets. Justice Smith is the kind of leading man studios love, soft-spoken, vulnerable, safe. In Detective Pikachu, he's Tim Goodman, the lonely straight kid getting the girl and the Pokemon. In Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, he's the nerdy tech guy screaming his way through dinosaur chaos. These are the straightest spaces Hollywood has. 4-quadrant blockbusters sold to parents, kids, censors, and conservative markets all at once. Notice what's missing? Any trace of who Justice actually is. Queerness gets cut out of scripts, out of scenes, out of marketing plans long before you ever see the trailer. That's how he ended up playing straight heroes while his real life was shoved into shadows, not just because he's queer, but because he's Black and queer in an industry terrified of too much difference in one body. So he took the truth where Hollywood couldn't mute him, the street. In 2020, at a Black Lives Matter protest, he posted a video from the crowd shouting for Black, queer, and trans lives.
And in that same breath, he came out as queer and confirmed his relationship with actor Nicholas Ashe. No glossy magazine cover, no neutral PR language, just I am one of the people you keep erasing. The roles he lost for that honesty? We'll probably never see the list, but we can choose what we do with the ones he already gave us.
Next time you watch him run from dinosaurs or solve a Pokemon mystery, remember, a queer black man carried that story for the whole planet, even when the script wouldn't say his name.
The soldier who was told God hated him. Before breaking hearts in Spoiler Alert or fighting for his family in Knock at the Cabin, Ben Aldridge was what TV loved, a straight military hero. Captain James and Our Girl, stoic in uniform, the man women fall for and men follow. Later, Thomas Wayne in Pennyworth, literally Batman's dad, the blueprint of straight, respectable fatherhood. Now overlay that with his real childhood, raised in a strict evangelical environment, taught that being gay wasn't just wrong, it was a ticket to hell. He's described his journey to pride as a long battle with shame, the feeling that if anyone saw the truth, they'd lose respect, love, and the roles he'd spent his life fighting for. So he did what so many queer kids do, overperform straightness, the soldier, the patriarch, the man in charge. And the industry rewarded that performance until he decided he was done acting off camera. In 2020, he came out publicly, sharing old photos of himself as a closeted Christian kid and writing about finally stepping into pride. Here's the twist Hollywood didn't predict. His career didn't implode, it upgraded. He started leading queer stories. A grieving boyfriend in Spoiler Alert.
"I'm meeting myself in my work," he said. You can feel it. The performances gain depth that only comes from truth, proving that authenticity enhances rather than limits an actor's range and impact.
The genius who walked away. Michael Scofield is one of TV's ultimate straight men. The genius with the tattoos, the brother who will burn the world down to save his family. The quiet, devastating love story with Sarah that kept millions glued to Prison Break for years. That face was on dorm room walls, teenage notebooks, fan pages around the world. But the man behind him was dying inside. Wentworth Miller has spoken about years of depression, suicidal thoughts, and the crushing weight of hiding, especially at the height of the show's fame, when his body had become global property. He wasn't just playing a straight man on TV, he was expected to be one at every press junket, every red carpet, every airport selfie. In 2013, he quietly came out by refusing to attend a Russian film festival, saying he couldn't support a government that persecuted people like him. That alone could have been his mic drop. Instead, in 2020, he went further with an Instagram post, simple and brutal. "I'm out of Prison Break officially. I don't want to play straight characters. Their stories have been told and told." If you were hoping for more Michael Scofield, I understand this is disappointing. I'm sorry. If you're hot and bothered because you fell in love with a fictional straight man played by a real gay one, that's your work. That's not career suicide. That's a boundary. He fired the role before the role could finish him, choosing survival over continued performance, proving that sometimes walking away is the bravest choice of all. Zachary Quinto captivated audiences with his somber gaze and cool demeanor. First as villain, Sylar in Heroes, then as Spock in the Star Trek reboot. With his sharp features and commanding presence, he embodied the perfect blend of intelligence and intensity that made him ideal for playing iconic straight characters.
Behind that spotlight existed deep internal struggle between the desire to live authentically and fear of rejection. The entertainment industry had clear, unspoken rules about leading men in major franchises, and being openly gay wasn't part of the acceptable formula. In 2011, after teenager Jamie Rodemeyer committed suicide following relentless bullying for being gay, Zachary made a crucial decision. In an open letter, he publicly came out as gay, declaring he could no longer remain silent while young people desperately needed role models to look toward. The response was immediate and powerful. Zachary not only became an inspiration for the LGBTQ+ community, but earned widespread respect from colleagues and fans.
Unlike many who feared coming out would destroy their careers, his work didn't stagnate. It expanded with increasingly diverse and challenging roles. He also became a respected social activist, using his platform to advocate for LGBTQ+ rights and mental health awareness. His decision to come out in response to a young person's death illustrated how visibility literally saves lives.
Zachary's story demonstrates that honesty doesn't doom success, it enhances it by allowing artists to bring their full selves to their work, informed by the freedom of no longer hiding fundamental truths about who they are.
The legendary performer's truth. Neil Patrick Harris is a multi-talented performer famous for acting, comedy, and hosting. From Doogie Howser MD to Barney Stinson in How I Met Your Mother, to playing himself in Harold and Kumar, Neil built a career on versatility and charm that transcended any single role or genre. For years, Neil neither confirmed nor denied speculation about his sexuality, maintaining professional ambiguity that allowed him to play a wide range of characters. Everything changed in 2006 when he openly declared he was gay at the height of his career, refusing to let industry pressure dictate his personal life. Off-screen, Neil has a long-lasting, admired relationship with his husband, David Burtka, whom he married in 2014.
They have twins together, creating a family that became visible representation of LGBTQ+ parenthood at the highest levels of entertainment. His career never suffered after coming out. It flourished spectacularly. Neil proved that a gay actor can play heterosexual roles brilliantly, surpassing expectations and redefining what it means to be a true performer.
His portrayal of the womanizing Barney Stinson became even more impressive knowing the distance between actor and character. Neil's success challenged persistent industry assumptions that audiences couldn't accept gay actors in straight roles.
He demonstrated that talent, timing, and charisma matter infinitely more than sexuality, and his visibility as an openly gay man hosting major award shows normalized LGBTQ+ presence in mainstream culture for millions of viewers worldwide. Jim Parsons became a global phenomenon portraying Sheldon Cooper in The Big Bang Theory, the quirky, perfectionist physicist who captivated audiences with unique charm and impeccable comedic timing. The role earned him 4 Emmy Awards, a Golden Globe, and made him one of television's highest-paid actors during the unprecedented 12-season run.
Throughout most of the series, Jim chose to live authentically, but quietly. He didn't hide his truth, but he didn't make it his defining characteristic or constant talking point either. That quiet confidence made him more admired than dramatic declarations ever could have achieved.
For Jim, coming out wasn't about seeking attention. It was about living genuinely, a noble choice in an industry where authenticity is often a luxury few can afford without risking their careers. He proved you can reach the absolute top without sacrificing your true self along the way. Jim has been in a relationship with graphic designer Todd Spiewak since 2002, and they married in 2017 after 15 years together.
Their long-term partnership provided quiet, consistent representation of stable same-sex relationships throughout The Big Bang Theory's entire cultural dominance. After establishing himself as a comedy icon, Jim took on projects reflecting his values. His role in The Normal Heart, a film about the AIDS epidemic, where he portrayed an emotional gay activist, allowed audiences to see dramatic, profound depth in the actor known primarily for brilliant comedy, demonstrating his remarkable range beyond Sheldon Cooper's iconic character. The alien who found his truth. Matt Dallas made his mark with the lead role in the hit television series Kyle XY, playing a mysterious young man with extraordinary abilities who had to learn what it means to be human. The role required him to portray innocence, discovery, and ultimately romantic relationships with female characters that felt genuine to audiences. In 2013, Matt took a significant step when he opened up publicly about being gay and revealed his long-term relationship with Blue Hamilton, a musician. The announcement came not through a carefully crafted press release, but through a simple, direct social media post that reflected his straightforward approach to honesty. With his classic style, Matt is often seen wearing uniquely tailored suits and crisp shirts that complement his toned physique. But he's never afraid to experiment with edgier, sportier looks, donning leather jackets and ripped jeans to create a more vibrant, attractive aesthetic that defies simple categorization. Matt's coming out was notable not just for honesty, but for timing.
He was still actively working in Hollywood, still being considered for roles, still building his career. His decision to come out publicly rather than maintaining strategic ambiguity demonstrated confidence that his talent would speak louder than his sexuality. His relationship with Blue Hamilton, which he acknowledged openly, provided visibility for same-sex couples in entertainment.
They eventually married and started a family through surrogacy, becoming prominent examples of gay parenthood in Hollywood and proving that authenticity and family life aren't mutually exclusive for LGBTQ+ actors.
The British everyman's double life. Russell Tovey built his career playing the quintessential British everyman, the mate you'd have a pint with, the reliable friend, the romantic interest who wins through persistence and charm. His role as George in Being Human showcased his ability to portray vulnerable masculinity, while his appearance in HBO's Looking finally allowed him to play explicitly gay characters.
But for years before Looking, Tovey navigated the tricky space between being out in his personal life and being cast primarily in straight roles. He spoke candidly about the advice he received early in his career. Thank his parents for not letting him be too camp growing up, because it allowed him to play straight more convincingly.
The comment sparked controversy in the LGBTQ+ community, with critics pointing out that it reinforced harmful hierarchies about acceptable versus unacceptable ways to be gay. Tovey later apologized, acknowledging that his words had been hurtful and reflected internalized prejudices he was working to unlearn. His career illustrates the complex negotiations gay actors make with an industry that often rewards those who can pass while marginalizing those who can't or won't conform to heteronormative presentation. Tovey has been open about his relationship with rugby player Steve Brockman, whom he married, providing visibility for same-sex couples. His journey demonstrates that even actors who are technically out still face pressure about how they present their sexuality, and that examining one's own internalized homophobia is an ongoing process rather than a single moment of realization or declaration.
15 actors, 15 men who mastered the art of playing straight so convincingly that millions never questioned what they were watching. But here's what Hollywood hoped you wouldn't notice. The performance that made them stars was also the prison that almost destroyed them. These men weren't just acting in their roles, they were surviving a system built to erase them. They were told their voices were too gay, their mannerisms too obvious, their very existence a threat to the fantasy. So they learned to stand differently, talk lower, laugh less freely. They deleted photos, avoided pronouns, and watched Superman roles disappear when the truth surfaced. Some lost years to that performance, years of depression, substance abuse, and suicidal thoughts from the weight of hiding. Others walked away from franchises and paydays rather than continue the lie. A few rewrote the rules entirely, proving that audiences never needed the illusion in the first place. They just needed honest, brilliant performances from actors who could finally breathe. The question isn't whether these men could play straight convincingly. Clearly they could, and brilliantly. The question is why they had to.
Why the industry demanded they erase themselves off-screen to be believable on-screen. And whether you, as an audience, ever really needed that lie to enjoy their work. If their truth doesn't change how you see their talent, subscribe and share this video. These stories deserve to be told, and the next generation of actors deserves better than the closet that almost killed this one.